You'll notice it says solve by substitution or elimination. You may choose either. I don't care. However, if you look at number 1, you can see that y is already solved by itself. This is a situation where I would probably do substitution because it's set up nicely for substitution. And so I could go straight to my substitution with this group here, and I could plug it into the other group for that y. And so I could say negative 7x minus 2 instead of y. I can write what y equals from the other group, and that equals 10. So I've pretty much just rewritten my negative 7x minus 2 times y equals 10, and I've just replaced the y. And so when it's already set up like this is where I personally would use substitution. You're going to distribute that negative 2. Did I give you a 0? I did. And then combine your like terms. Like at this point, you're just solving algebraically. You have, that's a negative 7. Negative 7, positive 8 is going to give you just an x. If you subtract that 10 over, you're going to get x equals 0. Once you solve for one, plug it in and solve for the other one. I have x, I need y. So negative 4 times 0 minus 5, y is going to equal negative 5. So my answer to this one's going to be 0, negative 5. That would be one where I would probably do substitution. If you look at the next one, yes, your goal is to eliminate one of your variables. Do the easiest one. Like if I look at this one, x is way easier to eliminate than y. Because if I have to eliminate y between 7 and 2, I have to multiply both of those. Well, if I eliminate the x, I just have to multiply one of them. So if I look at this, eliminated the x, I have a negative 10x. I need a positive 10x to get rid of that guy. So I'm going to multiply this entire group by 2. I leave my top equation completely alone. Negative 10x plus 7y equals negative 14. My bottom equation, I have to distribute that to every single piece. 2 times 5x, 2 times negative 2y, 2 times 19. All right, once I have a positive and negative of the same number, I'm ready to just add down. When I add down, I have negative 10, positive 10 cancels. 7 and negative 4 gives me a 3. And then I have the negative 14, the positive 38 will give me 24. And then I can divide. Y is going to equal 8 here. Once again, like everything else, I need 2 variables. So I'm going to take that y and I'm going to plug it into either one of those equations. 5x minus 2 times my y, which is 8, equals 19. And I'm going to then solve back for my x. So I have for this one, x equals 7, y equals 8.
So that's just like number 4.
You'll notice the first 2 equations have x, y, and z. The third equation already has one eliminated, which is my x, right? So I want to get down to 2 equations with only 2 variables. I am going to definitely use that third equation because it already has one eliminated for me. So I'm going to use my 3y minus z equals 2. I know I want to use that one. And then I want to take the other 2 and eliminate the same variable that's missing from the third one that I just decided to use. So I'm going to take the negative x minus y minus 3z and the x minus 2y minus 4z. And I'm going to eliminate my x because I'm already missing an x from that third guy. So it's actually already set up quite nicely for me, right, to do elimination. Negative and positive cancel here. This is negative 3y, negative 7z, and negative 34. So now I'm going to use this equation and the one that I set aside. So I'm going to take this negative 3y and 7z and negative 34. Now I have two variables, which is just like the one I just did. I'm going to use elimination to solve for a variable. This one is set up to do it. If it were not, I would need to multiply or do whatever to cancel. But this already has a positive 3 and a negative 3. And then I'm just going to add down. Negative 1 and negative 7 give me a negative 8z. 2 and negative 34 give me a negative 32. So my z here is 4. Because I have x, y, and z, my answer needs to include x, y, and z. I'm going to take that z and plug it into one of those to get my y. Doesn't matter which one. I say 3 times y minus my z, which is 4, equals 2. Add that over. Divide. Now I have z and y. I'm going to take both of those and plug it into one of my other equations over here to get my x. So if I take that bottom one, x minus 2 times my y, which I now know is 2, minus 4 times my z, which I know is 4, equals negative 24. And then I'm just doing basic calculation here. Combine these, that's 20, negative 20 added over, x equals negative 4. So now I have my x, my y, and my z. So my answer is that set. Negative 4 is my x, 2 is my y, 4 is my z. And that is my solution to that one. For this whole set, on that page, you just have a mixture of addition and subtractions here with maybe some distribution. I just chose the first two because it includes distribution with addition and subtraction, and it includes an undefined. With addition and subtraction, remember they have to be the exact same dimensions to be able to add them. So just looking at 14, my answer for 14 is that this is undefined. I cannot define what that means for you because I do not have matching dimensions. There is no corresponding element to some of those to be able to add them. So that is my answer. It is undefined. Now for 13, I have basically an order of operations things going on. I have something within the parentheses, and then I have a 2 on the outside. So I'm going to do just like I would old school order of operations. I'm going to add my 2 matrices that are in here first, or subtract as it were for this one. And then I'll take that answer and distribute that negative 2. These are the same dimensions, so I can do that subtraction. So I still have that negative 2 out here, and then I'm just going to subtract element to element. I'm going to say 1 minus 6, and go all the way across. Negative 1 minus 6, negative 2 minus 0, go down to the bottom row, negative 2 minus 6, negative 1 minus 1, and then 5 minus 1. And then I'm just going to distribute that negative 2 across through to all of them. So I'm going to multiply everything inside by negative 2. I'm going to get 10, 14, 4, 16, 4, negative 8. And that is my answer for this one. Any questions on basic operations here? So the first thing you want to do is look at your dimensions, okay? 3 rows by 2 columns, 2 rows by 2 columns. These inner ones must be the same to decide if you can multiply, and we can. The outer ones tell you what your answer will be. My answer will be a 3 by 2, okay? Now that I've determined that, I'm going to multiply row by column. So I make mine a little bit bigger so I can make sure I fit it all in there. I'm going to take the first row and multiply it by the first column. Negative 2 times my negative 1 plus 3 times my 2. And then I'm going to go to the next column. Negative 2 times negative 4 plus 3 times negative 3. Once I've exhausted columns, I go to the next row. All right, so now I'm going to do this row. I'm going to say 6 times negative 1 plus negative 6 times 2. Then 6 times negative 4 plus negative 6 times negative 3. Then I'm going to go to the third row and do the same thing. Negative 2 times negative 1 plus negative 5 times 2. negative 2 times negative 4, plus negative 5 times negative 3. A quick check. All right, a quick check. Negative 2, 3, negative 2, 3, 6, negative 6, 6, negative 6, negative 2, negative 5, negative 2, negative 5. All right, those should match my rows from the first. My columns should match my columns from the second. Negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, 2, 2, and 2. Negative 4, negative 4, negative 4, negative 3, those match, right? And that's a quick check because there are a lot of easy ways to make simple errors, right? So I just do a quick check. Once I've done that, I literally just do my multiplication. So I go back and I say negative 2 and negative 1 is 2, plus 3 and 2 is 6. Negative 2, negative 4 is 8, plus negative 9. Negative 6 plus negative 12. Negative 24 plus 18. Positive 2, negative 10. Positive 8, positive 15. All right? And then just write your final answer. Do the additions. 2 and 6 is 8. 8 and negative 9. Negative 6, negative 12. Negative 24, positive 8. 2 and negative 10. 8 and 15. That is my answer.